I'm Vanessa Holiday. I'm a Brooklynite. I'm married to this wonderful man for 19 years, and I work for the Brooklyn Tabernacle, and I'm an accountant.
My name is Craig Holiday. I am one of the associate pastors at the Brooklyn Tabernacle. I am a Brooklynite as well, but you wouldn't know it. Everyone thinks I'm from the Midwest somewhere, but because I don't have the edge, as they call it, as the Brooklynites normally have. And I'm married to this woman for almost 19 years. It'll be 19 years May 15th, and I'm excited. We met actually, we were working for the same company, and we met actually through a former colleague. And I was going to the gym a lot. I was working out, and she happened to start going to the gym, and she was stalking me while I was working out. I started noticing these eyes piercing at me while I'm on the weight bench and lifting weights and working out hard so I can continue to play basketball. And
Okay, I wasn't stalking him. I did flirt with him. I only wanted to see if I had power to get him to look, but that was it, babe. That was the the extent of it.
she was stalking me.
Okay.
And then I found out that she was actually just in the gym because she was getting ready to go on a vacation with her girlfriend, so she was trying to get body lovely.
Situational.
It was a situational workout. That's a good way of putting it. Well, our first date was interesting. It was to a baseball game, and I figured, okay, so nothing can go wrong going to a baseball game. So we went to a baseball game with a good friend of mine and his wife. It was great.
Okay, all right. So first he called me, and I was
So you
hesitant.
went into details.
Right. He called me. I was hesitant to say yes, but my sister, who I take all my advice from, even though at that time she wasn't serving the Lord, she said, "It's just a free meal. Go. You don't have to marry him." That's what she said. I didn't have to marry him. So I went. Go ahead. So we went to the game. Go ahead.
So we went to the game. That was good advice because here we are 19 years later, right? But we went to the game, and then after the game, as she always says, I called an audible. And we decided to go out to dinner with our friends in the village. And so we go into the village, and she feels the need to call one of her girlfriends. So she gets on the payphone, she calls her girlfriend, and she's telling her, "Hey, Jackie, just wanted to let you know we went out to get something to eat. We're in the village." And so I proceed to snatch the phone out of her hand. She looks at me with this look like...
He was trying to be macho. Okay.
She looked at me with this look like a tough girl from the streets of Brooklyn, snatches the phone back and tells her girlfriend, "Hold on, I have to handle something," and hangs up on her. And then proceeds to tell me, "Don't you ever snatch a phone out of my hand." And so she said I recovered well, and she appreciated that.
He did. He was not ruffled by my assertiveness. He just went with the flow of it, and I appreciated that. So it was a hot and cold first date. But,
Hot and cold.
But it was...
But more hot than cold.
Exactly.
More hot than cold. No, when I met Vanessa, yes, I was a Christian.
I made sure he was a Christian. As
remember
much as I could.
I remember the first time I told her I was a Christian, her response was, "Yeah, sure, everyone says they're a Christian." And I was like, what? What is she talking about? And so I was a believer. I became a believer as a result of the broken relationship that I had with my girlfriend that I had lived with 6.5 years. And that's when I started my journey to restoration and getting my life together. And so when I met her, I was just 2 years into my walk with the Lord. And so that's why I realized I wasn't in a position to get involved with anyone. There was still a lot of junk in my trunk. Like I said, I was a train wreck just looking for a track to jump off of. And so I didn't want to bring that into someone else's life. And so I really knew that God was doing something in my life. He was transforming my heart. And so it took a while before I got up the nerve to even ask her out on a date?
I was also coming out of a bad situation. I was married I got married in May. I was already separated by February. So I really wasn't looking for a relationship. I met him, we went on a date, but I really was not looking for anything. And so it was okay that he wasn't asking me out. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't certain about my picking ability. And so I was very cautious about dating anyone. I really wasn't looking for anything. That's why my sister had to convince me to go out with him, because I was like, I'm doing fine by myself. That last one wasn't what I thought he was supposed to be, so I was very cautious. And really that whole question of how you know that you're ready,
Right.
I wasn't even certain I was ready. And so Craig knows, and this is why I love him. I put him up before everybody. I was like, you know what, last time I didn't pick too well. And so this time, I need others that I love to weigh in on this guy who seems like he's good. But if you guys see anything about him, I really let people feel free to speak into my life.
I knew she was the one because after spending quite a bit of time together, one day she invited me to a meeting at American Express. I was no longer working there, and she invited me there because I had helped start a Christian club at corporate headquarters called SALT. And so she invited me back there. I come to this during my lunchtime, and I'm sitting there, excuse me, and there's a presentation that they're showing at this meeting. And as I'm sitting there, and the room was so crowded, she was sitting in the chair, I was kind of standing up and leaning against the wall next to her. And it was just as if God was whispering in my ear. He was saying, "You're gonna marry this woman." And I'm standing there going, did I? And I'm like looking around, trying to figure out, did someone just say that to me? Is someone like messing with me? And as I'm looking at her, I'm starting to get this really strong emotional feeling about this is going to be my wife. I think it's a great story.
All right, let me tell you how I knew he was the one I was supposed to marry, which was not as dramatic as him, like voices. I didn't hear any voices. Mine was a little more, I don't know, pragmatic. I say this phrase, it did not originate with me, but I do say it, where you just have this board of directors over your life. And I had feelings for him. I loved him, but sometimes love is not enough. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any blind spots around me. And so the folks that I loved, that I cared about, they were like, yeah, this guy is a good guy. This guy loves you. My mom, my aunt, my sister, my pastors. So that's how that was confirmation that he was the one. I loved him, and he loved me, and he knew I was domestically disabled. Everything. I didn't hide anything from him, and he loved me just the way I was, and I could just be myself, and that's how I just knew. Okay, so I'm domestically disabled. Here's that thing. What I do in this marriage, you couldn't do in a regular, normal, traditional marriage. Craig does all the cooking. I have yet to cook this man one meal. I am not bragging, it is just what it is. He does the laundry, he does the food shopping, and he's okay with it. It works for us. When I tell folks, you know, how you model your marriage, you really can't. You gotta know who you are involved with. You gotta know your mate. And Craig knows me, I know Craig, and that's not important to him. So the Lord knew what I needed. The Lord knew I have challenges. I should be getting SSI for this disability. I'm not getting that, but he gave me a man who doesn't mind. And it works for us, and it just, what I give Craig is really the intangibles. Like, folks like, what do you do? Besides the obvious, but it's like, so, I do that. But it's the intangibles, space, respect. He loves coming home to a house that is peaceful. Craig knows when he closes that door, this is a safe place. I got his back. He has my back. and that means the world to him, and
Yes,
I give that
yes.
to him. So
Yes.
the other stuff, the cooking, the cleaning, for him it's not a deal breaker. It's not like, oh, he wishes I would. It just works for us. But we tell folks dating, you'll be divorced if you do what I do.
Yeah, you can't model your marriage in that respect after us. Yeah, I wouldn't.
He has made it so he's divorce proof our marriage, because he's made it so no other man will want me. No man is going to want me.
That's how you got to do it, though.
So now I'm not going anywhere. This is the one. So this is how was his strategy for keeping me. And so I tell women, don't do what I do, but know your man, know what he needs, and don't do a bait and switch.
Yeah,
do all that cooking and cleaning, and then when you get married, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that. So he knew what he was getting. One word I would use to describe Craig is authentic. Craig's authentic. He doesn't try to be anyone else. He is comfortable in his own skin. I love that about you, babe, that you're just who you are. You don't try to emulate anybody. You like what you like. You are who you are. You are authentic, and I love that about you.
The one word to describe her, such a bubbling, beautiful, intelligent, caring, loving.
He can't distill it down to one word.
So she's just that big. Wow. I'm coming up with all these words, and just to narrow it down to one word. Oh my goodness. Undescribable? No, I'm just.
There you go.
There you go.
Good.
You can't put it in a box. There's just so much about VJ. In all honesty, there's just so much about her that it's hard to describe in one word. And so, and she's totally made my life. Aside from Christ, that's the most important relationship I have. But she's the second most important relationship in my life, and I wouldn't know what I would do without her in my life and being a part of my life for the last 20 plus years. I would probably tell 16-year-old Craig that you're going to meet a woman who will not only make your life better, but will bring so much joy, so much happiness, to the extent where you will never want to even consider having anyone else in your life as close as she is.
What did I tell 16-year-old Vanessa? That you're going to find a man that will love you unconditionally, and you will be able to be your authentic self. You won't have to change. You will find your ride or die. That's what Craig is.
Ride or die. Team Holiday.